that you are absolutely loving the show. This is what we do every single weekday, 7 a.m. till 10 a.m. and nothing but great chat and of course some of your favorite hits right here on Y in the Morning. My name is Shiko Kaitani, of course part of the awesome trio of Kalami Val, Mr. Barry Moses and myself. Keep those text messages coming through that WhatsApp number that's at the bottom of your screen. If you do prefer to send a text message, go ahead. 22162 is that SMS number. Please begin with of course YM254 and don't forget to leave your name and let us know where you are watching from. Now, this being a Monday, we like to take a look at what's happening on the political scene. And of course, last week was a historic one for Kenya. On Thursday, we saw the kickoff of the 12th Parliament, the swearing in of members of Parliament, and of course, speakers for both the Senate and the National Assembly. Over to Friday, the Supreme Court annulled Kenya's presidential election results. August 8th, presidential elections were cancelled, meaning we as Kenyans are heading back to the polls in about 56 days. And so what does that actually mean for us? And to help us dissect this particular discussion and the ruling is George Keethi, who is an advocate of the High Court. And of course, representing our comrades, we always love to have these guys every week, is Shalene Wambui and Kayesu, the one and only, both who are student leaders from Mount Kenya University and the University of Nairobi, respectively.
You got it right. You got it right.
Thank you guys for coming to the studio. Asante Sana for being here. George, welcome. I know these two are no strangers to the set, but for you, we must give you a warm welcome.
I've been here before.
Okay. Oh, you have?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah,
all right. But not on this segment?
No, not on yours.
Yes.
Yes,
okay. All right. Sasa, welcome. Okay. So, guys, let's talk about, of course, the ruling. And perhaps to begin with you, George, maybe you can give us a recap in a nutshell. What sort of influenced the court to make the decision that they did?
Well, basically, the court had a consideration to make based on the evidence that was brought before it. One of the most important issues was the sanctity of the election in those many words that we put across. Yeah. Free, fair, credible, blah, 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 all that. But it's basically the sanctity of the election itself. Inevitably, there was going to be a divide between the judges on account of the fact that one school of thought follows the strict aspect of what sanctity is. Right. A bit of alteration into the process and all that, then it has to be nullified. That those that think is permissible to have mistakes, yet that can still uphold the communication, the voice of the voter. So because of that, there was a divide of about 2/3 of them, basically 4 out of 6 who were sitting, did agree that the process wasn't free, fair, credible, and therefore the electoral process was alterated by malpractices. Yes. Suffice it that ultimately they nullified the election. Okay. So we are where we are because probably the evidential, the probative value of the evidence that was before court sustained the agitation by NASA principles that there was malpractice. Way forward from that is simple. We have to go back for election in the next 60 days. Yes. Simple put, but not that simple.
Okay. Bringing in Shalene and Kayesu, what do you guys think about this particular situation? Do you think that we have that strength to go back as Kenyans to the polls? Do we have that drive?
Why not? We have it. It's there. The journey to Canaan started long time ago. And the journey to Canaan is going on.
River Jordan.
Yeah, no, we crossed River Jordan. Let me explain to you, Shiko. Yes. We crossed River Jordan on 8th of August.
Oh, okay.
So we headed to Jericho. So the walls of Jericho were tight. So we were still singing around walls of Jericho, Comrades, Tialala, TB, Mizo. And now, when was that ruling done? On Friday?
Yes, on Friday.
The walls of Jericho came down.
Okay,
so the journey goes on, and in less than 60 days, we will reach there.
So you agree with Baba, who says the journey to Canaan is unstoppable?
When the walls are down. When the walls are down, what do you expect again?
Shalene, leave this guy alone. What do you say?
Thank you so much for that question. Let me talk like a patriot of this country.
Yeah.
We went for our elections on 8th of August. The election was not that simple. It was tedious, for the Kenyans. I'm not saying for those who are doing the elections, for the people who lined up from morning until evening to cast their votes to the ballot. And going to back to the ballots, it's well and good that we go back to the ballot, but I think the court would, the people voted, and their votes are lying in boxes somewhere in the office of this country. We know that the votes that were casted, when we voted, the buckets were being sealed, and I'm 101% sure the boxes until now are not unsealed. I think it would have been even wiser for us to recount votes rather than getting back Kenyans into the same lines and voting again. The thing is tedious, and actually most of the Kenyans will not come forth and cast their votes as their democratic right. So Kenyans are being given a hard time. They casted their votes on 8th of August. Why do you need to then tell them to again come out and vote and tell them to come in large numbers? Do you seriously think that Kenyans, of course, we are human beings. We get tired of monotony. When this election, we do the October elections, is it October or November? October. Then Jubilee gets the same thing. Then NASA go back to court. NASA wins. We go back. We'll do our elections next year. So my question is, what is our priority in Kenya? Is it doing election over and over again, expecting the same results of IBC? And the court at the same time.
So you say recount the votes.
Yes,
just redo it.
They are lying somewhere in the offices of this country. Maybe probably in Supreme Court. The boxes are there. I think we should recount the votes. I think that's a better option.
They were all hijacked. The votes, their seals, for your information, Miss Patriotic.
All right.
For your information.
Let me cut you short, Shiko Kidogo. The security that was given to the election of this year is unquestionable, undoubtable, and undisputed. So Kayesu trying to tell me that the boxes were unsealed, I can assure you with no utter of doubt that the boxes are safe landing somewhere in an office. And I think a recount of votes is better.
Okay.
As I always say.
Let's speak to our advocate who's on set with us. George, can you please give us a brief on what both parties are expected to do in the next couple of days? What are the boundaries so far for both Jubilee and NASA going forward?
Well, way forward is we already set up for the campaigns. It's going to be more intriguing this time round because only two parties.
Right.
I'm saying two parties because I do know that. Let me put it this way: in the the previous petition we had in 2013, Raila Odinga versus IEBC, the Supreme Court pronounced itself on what happens in case of a situation such as this. When an election is set aside, then it's only those who had participated in the election that are allowed to come back. So we do expect the same people to participate. Only that I do know that many have dropped out. Probably the ones that ambitious enough will remain Uhuru Kenyatta, Raila Odinga, and one Ekuro Court. So we will say it's as good as a runoff between the two, meaning that it's going to be a close, a very well fought, I would say that, in terms of the political balance. And more importantly is that reducing everything into only a presidential election, that then means everybody is energized in that direction. So what is expected is that they should prepare themselves for election. IBC should also, as much as possible and as hurriedly as possible, put into place the machinery. We need to print the ballot papers. We need to print those Form 34As and Bs again. And with all the security features as was admonished by the Supreme Court, and everything must be right. The fidelity of that election must not be departed from. So if there's a letter that says you must do or must not do as IEBC, that is what will be sanct of the path towards the election. But most importantly also is that we'll have challenges, because I do know there'll be massive budgetary issues.
I know. In fact, let's talk about that deadline. Do you think much will change in these couple of days, guys? And look at that. The minute the ruling was done, we already saw campaigns beginning again. What do you think about that?
The deadlines. The deadlines. I know they are too close. But all in all, Shiko, I think somebody, you know, we have spent a lot in this election, this past election.
Yes.
And we now have a very small time to do this.
Yeah.
And we are going through all this because somebody messed his work, or somebody was too greedy that he had to eat something for him to cheat.
Charlene is
burning. Yeah, to cheat.
So much in self-denial.
Yeah.
The results.
No, okay. It is the court now. It's not about Raila now. It's not about it's now court is Maraga. That's why you are bashing him.
But
that's why he's being treated not like an elderly manner. So it's about the integrity of the election. It's not about the person who denied that the results. Yeah. So it's the courts who said that the elections were irregular. There were massive cheating and discrepancies and all that.
Charlene.
So somebody should be in jail now, Shiko.
Okay.
Somebody
All
should be in jail now.
We're going to put a pin on that one. Charlene, tell me, you know, when George was speaking, all I kept thinking was about the kind of money that's going back into this. As the common mwananchi, are you thinking, what, this is completely unfair? Because how much money went into the last election? Now we're going for round 2. Before, maybe George, you can highlight in terms of estimates of what we're looking at. That's going to be spent. Go ahead.
Let me say this. First and foremost, I think George will agree with me when they were doing the budget of the elections, they had a contingency plan of a rerun, right? Of a runoff. Of course they had, but I'm not for the case that it is good that they had the budget, but it was good in one way or another. Because of course in an election we know there is a loser, a winner, and maybe there is probably a runoff. Fine, there was that budget, but now this is taking our country back, especially for the last for the last couple of years. The country's economy have really deteriorated, and it's not because of any other reason, it's just because of politics. So I think even these leaders themselves, they are very greedy because the common mwananchi here is struggling to get maize, unga ya kupika, and then they're just there enjoying our money.
And so for you see the disruption that's going to come with the elections. It means changing schedules. It means people losing out in terms of going to work and earning their money.
Sure. Big time. People will lose money. You know, even before we went for the 8th August elections, people even departed from their jobs and went back home.
I know. Can you imagine you being a registered voter all the way in Kakamega or Nakuru, and you're in Nairobi. And then now again you have to go back
to Shags and stay there because you are in fear of violence.
And when mentioning those places, don't be forgetting to mention Kisumu, Migori. Should be mentioning those places too. How can you mention Thika, Kakamega, and you don't mention the places, the real places?
Before Kayesu comes in, and we have to look at other factors like schools are going on. KCP is on its way. KCSE the same case. So when we say we are going for another election, it will start on KCSE is starting on 30th of October.
Okay.
And KCP is starting up even November. I can't remember quite the date. So when we go for elections and we are saying elections is 60 days from now, then elections have to take place on 2nd of November. 2nd of November, the exams will be going on. We have to take such things into consideration because these are children who are back in school. And the core pillar in this country is that they want to make education a pillar of this country. So before these guys make the decision of let us go back to the election, they should have considered such things
before saying the 60-day.
Because they are there, they know the policies of the country, they know the schedule of how the government is running things. They should have considered that too.
We are already in this mud, Shiko. We are already in this mud. We are already in this problem. So it should be prevented from reopening in future. And by that, I repeat, somebody should be responsible. So that if somebody will be responsible for election, maybe in future, we'll learn that somebody did this in 2017 and this was the repercussion. So that they won't repeat it again. We are in a problem and somebody should pay for all this. For the time, for money, somebody should pay really
someone's head needs to be on the chopping block.
Pay money and be on jail after paying that.
George President
and that somebody
said that even though he disagreed with the court, he does respect the decision of the Supreme Court, and he went on to refer to the judges as wakoras in quotes when addressing the public, probably hinting at reconstituting the body if re-elected. What are your thoughts on that?
I'll be very honest. I think it's not available to condemn institutions that are independent. in such a derogatory manner. That's not right. But remember that the liberty to disagree is not put or cast in stones. So you realize that you will say what you have to say depending on your standing in society. Right. You and me and any other ordinary person saying that will be investigated. Raila and Uhuru have that liberty, which is expandable depending on the threshold where they're looking at the pedestal upon which they stand. Now, I do know that before the pronouncement of a judgment, ordinarily you must remain mum and wait. But the law is that after that you can condemn it either way or howsoever you want. Yes. The problem we have, and I hope it will have been different, is we are repeating 2013. In 2013, the judges came and pronounced sentences on how Raila had lost, which was very unfair. Yes. Because in fact, if you've lost, it's more painful. And you could see the struggle Raila went through in terms of trying to accept that. Honestly, there's a lot of condemnation, even from us as law society. Then, without correcting that, they come and urge the same position before us as a decision. I think that same condemnation, of course, has been overturned into the other side, but the name calling will remain the same in account of the fact that if you've lost, there's an element of pain that you go through. Of course, it will dissipate after some time because you see we have to now absolve ourselves from what happened and moving into politics as much as possible. But the court then, it brings itself very close to condemnation if it doesn't give the verdicts as ought to be. What I think should have happened is they should have picked out, and the art of judgment writing is very simple. Bring out the facts in a summary, bring out the analysis in a summary, bring out what you think, how you think you arrived, and then bring out those. It will take 3 pages or 4 pages. If they had done that, probably they'll have semblance of muting those that are beginning to condemn the court. I think the court may have arrived at the correct decision. It's a very justiciable decision. The people have another chance to pronounce them. So probably will have the same result, probably not. But the point remains, is judges must know they're beholden to the public. They should not, if it's Raila Odinga and you don't like him, or for whatever reason, consider that he's available and you must give him reasons. If it's Uhuru Kenyatta, the same. So what I believe is next time, and as a learning point, I don't know why they didn't learn, next time, let them just give the decision as it ought to be, probably insulated with a bit of facts.
Okay. All right, so NASA flag bearer Raila Odinga is not having any of this in terms of the IBC. He is quite clear that NASA will not take part in the polls if it is presided over by IEBC. What's next then?
We have not talked about Maraga. We've not talked about, you've asked him, the bashing, the public bashing, the president is bashing the CJ. No, it's wrong, very wrong. You know, Maraga is God sent. Is Disco Bumbula's right?
I want to know what's next for us. If the IBC are going to be persecuted,
you cannot. A person sent of God, a person who can. You know, there's a clip going around now where he raised the Bible and said that I Maraga, in the name of God, who is the head, the creator of universe and everything. I've never taken bribe and I will not take bribe forever. Did you?
All right.
I hope you've watched that.
So we're gonna catch you there. We're gonna catch you. We're gonna catch you so that we can hear Charlene's point.
But I've not finished. I've not said it's phantasmagorious.
I would agree with the Kayesu saying that the president did a very uncouth thing by calling Supreme Court Wakora. It is fine. It is fine. He's a human being. Every human being make a mistake. And so to Kayesu, let the first man who has never made a mistake cast the first stone.
And when the mistakes are too much?
Let me tell you, the mistakes are not too much.
The mistakes are too much.
Let me just be so open. We've seen Raila condemning IEBC. Before he kicked them out, the former regime of...
but they could prove that IEBC is bad.
Kayesu, I gave you your moment to talk. Kindly give me mine. When
talk points.
Team was being kicked out, when Hassan's team was being kicked out, the names that they left that commission with going back homes, my dear,
it is proved the people with whom Isaac Hassan, the people with whom Isaac Hassan did fraud are in jail in UK.
And I'm very sure that was a slip of the tongue from my president.
He has repeated it again and again and again.
We are going to get back to George here.
He has repeated that mistake again. How can your tongue slip and slip again and slip again 10 times?
What happens to the preferred candidate? He slips and slips and slips. It has become his character.
It has become his character. that whatever he says,
and that is not
whatever he says
from
comes
Maria.
to pass. Whatever Raila says in this comes to pass.
My student representatives before the
But before that,
there's
Chico,
more
I want
chaos
to
on this
apologize
set.
on behalf
Okay.
of my president.
Okay.
I'm very sure he did not mean to hurt anybody.
Charlene.
My president.
He is not apologetic.
Order.
The president himself is not apologetic.
Charlene
As a Jubilee
and
supporter,
Kayesu.
to say I'm very sorry to Kenyans watching out there. The president.
Who is Charlene? Who is Charlene to apologize in
Can we move on to
favor
our
of
guest,
who
guys?
is Charlene?
Let's move on to our guest, please, Tafadhali. Please answer my question, if you may, Mr. George.
Yes. What was the question again?
What's next in the case that now that NASA isn't going to have IBC preside over
Well,
this?
two things.
Yeah.
And I'm talking of possibilities because I don't think anything is absolute. I think there's digging in on part of, let me say, government on account of the fact that they're saying the order of courts, which probably is a positive narrative, said IEBC should conduct the elections within 60 days.
Yes.
One is that offsets anyone other than IEBC to conduct the elections. And secondly, the fact that it's IEBC as an independent body. However, we do know that before we don't have the advantage of the decision of court.
Yeah.
I do know that the court will then mention
Yeah.
details as to how the election became adulterated as they
Right.
ruled. Eventually, therefore, we'll be able to pick out from that decision who is culpable.
Okay.
If someone
Good.
is culpable, it is my opinion also
Yeah.
that person should step aside.
Okay.
But also, one advantage we have in the circumstances away
Yeah.
from the Isaac Hassan led one is that it is not Chebukati who is indicted by Raila Odinga in the circumstances. The easy aspect will be the secretariat is very easy to move. In fact, secretariat that could easily be the assistants in acting capacity and still move on. So it's very easy to reconstitute a secretariat as opposed to the commissioners themselves.
Okay.
But Raila
Yeah.
Odinga did mention one or two commissioners by name
Yes.
and leveling blame against them. Those ones, to remove them, there's a constitutional process that is needed.
Yes.
Either they resign themselves, but if they don't and they grandstand,
Yeah.
it means therefore we have a problem. The problem being that we have to put up a tribunal
Yeah.
upon which they will be heard, and eventually either they're guilty or not. And I don't think in that judgment that the commissioners will be mentioned by name. In that judgment, the commissioners are going to be indicted by name. I
Yeah.
do think a lot of it will go to the secretariat.
Okay.
However, also for Chebukati, let him not think that he's safe on account of the fact that he's the chief
Yes.
returning officer.
Yes.
So then, if the court blames Chebukati, the whole political scenario may change.
Oh,
So
okay.
therefore, we are waiting to see, and that's why it was very important, and I insisted that the judges should have said what it is that was done, so that then today we will be speaking from a point of information, and all of us will be probably in unison in condemnation that, you know what, you guys messed up our votes.
Yeah.
You've messed up the country, and therefore all of you step aside. I think we'll,
Okay.
we'll easily
But they
get-
said they will have a whole ruling.
yes.
like
Now,
all
now
of
the
them.
problem
Yeah.
is 21 days eating into the 60 days is a lot of time.
Yes.
So they should, if they had given it in the first 10 days or 3 days or 4 days, then the agitation by
Yes.
Raila Odinga would be from an informed perspective, because even him, I'm sure he's saying this from the political environment, but not necessarily from the text
Okay.
of the judgment itself.
All
So
right.
once he gets that, probably he may see that some of the people he will have mentioned may not be guilty as he thinks, or others may be guilty, or he may even expand the bracket upon which the people who participated in all this mess.
Okay.
So it's important, therefore, that the judges release the judgment as much as possible. Remember, ultimately, you can only be guilty upon accusation.
But his lawyers were there when the server was partially opened. Eh?
That's true.
So his lawyers were there and they saw the irregularities. In fact, I had him yesterday saying that they even saw the 2013 results showing that he won. 2013 results.
Let me tell
That's
Kashi,
okay.
Showing that he won. So they know who, like in the report,
agree with you.
in Dorengo's report,
Yes.
they're saying that in several circumstances, Chebukati's account tried hacking the system and all that. Yeah.
Okay.
those are just
They saw it, and those were things that were represented to presented to Maraga. So Raila knows because those were his people.
I agree with
who
that.
report to
That's
him, who
possible.
report back
That's
to
possible.
him.
But
So he has the evidence.
ultimately, we will have to rely on the judgment
Right.
of the court, which
Okay.
will then index people or doesn't. So whereas it may complement the judgment or may not complement,
Yes.
we have to wait for the judgment, which is 21 days.
Yeah.
I do think that it is, I think from the part of the judges, it would be a disservice if they take the whole hog of 21 days. The earlier we get it, the better, because then the debate will shift different, and it will help Kenyans to know that who is supposed to be culpable and who is not
We'll
culpable.
get it early.
Okay.
Those guys
So
are genius.
guys, we want to hear
Baraba
what
is a
our
genius,
audience
you'll
is
get it
saying
early.
right now, okay? We want to hear what our audience is saying, and Barry Moses is actually on standby to take a look at some of those text messages that are streaming in. Remember that WhatsApp number is at the bottom of your screen. If you prefer to send a regular text, it is 22162. Please do not forget to leave your name and, of course, where you are watching us from. Now, guys, 2 questions, okay? One I'm going to ask Charlene and, of course, Kayesu. Do you think that, of course, Raila will be satisfied come the next elections? Because remember, in 2013, we had the situation now where Isaac was on the spot, and of course there was cases about corruption, taking bribes from the ballot printers. What do you think? If this time around, Kayesu, especially you, if this time the vote does not favor him, do you think he'll be satisfied?
The vote will favor him, so he will be satisfied. Because the vote must favor him. Raila has been winning elections from 2007 up to now.
Charlene, what
So
do you
he will
have
be
to say?
satisfied.
What do you have to say?
This. But of course, the man will not be satisfied. He
So
has
you-
never been satisfied since 1997. And let me just put it this way: Raila will be the first person to break history to lose an election twice in the same year. And the same time, he will be the first person to have lost 6 consecutive elections. For the last how many years? 6 times 5 is 30. Around 20 or 25 up even. But of course, he will not be satisfied.
Do they teach respect for the elders where you come from?
He has been preparing for this August election
Do
for
they?
the last 4 years to make it chaotic.
That guy has been winning elections.
Wait.
No, it is African culture. It is African culture that young girls should respect the elders. A person who has been winning elections and being denied.
If I have to argue with Kayesu, I have to come down to his level to convince him. I'm not ready to do that.
You're not ready to do
I'm
that.
not
Okay.
ready to compromise my integrity.
Come down or go up.
Come down and argue with Kayesu. Let me say this, and I will repeat it once again. Of course, he will not be satisfied. And we will go back to the same Supreme Court where they said, Shiko, let me say this, and wakili hajasema. Supreme Court ilisema the IEBC can go ahead and continue with doing the November elections, but ikasema but we still have things nini bado hatuna uhakika na wao. That is the same Supreme
most
Court
of them
that
are
is
thieves.
So it seriously puts the Kenyan patriot like me in mayhem, because seriously, if we go back to the same Supreme Court in November, they will still rule the same way, because even the Supreme Court itself is bought.
George, I think this is also a very common issue, even from the people watching or the viewers or the common one, ain't she? In the event that we've got the same turnout, the same results, for example, can we go see another court case happening?
Yes.
It's highly likely.
Yes.
In fact, I will tell you it's probably 90% possible.
Wow.
For the reason
Okay.
that when we drafted the constitution, we expanded the liberty upon which one can file a petition. So it is not restricted to Uhuru Kenyatta, Nakuru Court, or Raila Odinga. It is expandable to anyone. And I do know that there's so many non-governmental organizations who are on the fringes. One, either to get an identity recognition, or others to fight for what otherwise will have been malpractice. Now, I want to put it very clearly. In the next election, and many other elections to come, there must be a departure from the sanctity. So it is either the mistakes are many or few to nullify the election. So either way, we'll have omissions here and there. Those omissions are exactly why people will petition. So we'll have a petition in the next election anyway.